Well, we might as well go ahead and fast forward a couple days later, because we sat still for a little bit here. We got this head welded and we brought the head back to the field, and then it sat for a couple of days here, and we were actually able to combine some here last night. However, I'm still having issues with the header height control. Now there is a potentiometer on each side. There's one on this side hooked to this outer horn like type shoe here. Then there's one on the left, and then there's another one that runs off of the center. And there is a rod going all the way across this head, and there's a little, like a little piece of flat stock on there that is on top of these bars right here, so that when the head goes down, this is going to be, these yellow shoes are going to ride on the ground. That's going to push up on that rod. That rod's going to spin around. The little piece of flat stock there is going to cause that rod to turn. And when that happens, it hits another potentiometer in behind this cover here. And then what that does is it maintains a certain amount of distance from the shoe here and the ground. You can set the hydraulic pressure to run off of a certain amount of hydraulic cushion. So when you guys are seeing in the video, you're seeing the head doing this all the time. What it's doing is the head is floating across the ground, and it is raising itself up. It's letting itself go back down, and there's a lot of goofy linkages on these horns here, and it makes that jerk up and down. So it's doing that a little more than it needs to. We don't need to cut this low because the heads of the wheat are so high off the ground. However, we want to be able to get as much straw as we can. We know for the most part that we don't have too many obstructions on the ground. However, the ground is not level like concrete. There is some spots to it, so that's why the head does all of this. Guys that have soybeans need to run as low as they can, because some of the beans are only this high off the ground on the plant. Well, maybe this high. So we're going to get this cover off of here and see what this sensor looks like. We have filled with fuel, and we're just waiting for the dew to burn off. I have my green Chevy because I have a couple of tires that are bad on my Ford, and we'll talk about that here once we get back to the shop. So let's get that cover off and see what we have going on with that one potentiometer. Alright, so we've got our cover off. There is a spot where we hit something on this edge here, but it didn't break anything on this potentiometer. That's usually what happens, is you hit something. You know, we're out in the open with this guy here, because there's another one there, but I am getting an error code for an ER91, which is the center sensor. And I called up Rich or the Kaz. I said, the center one, where is it? Is it the one on the combine? Or he said, no, it's on the right hand side of the head. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. We've been in here before. Kind of forgot about it a little bit. So we'll get these little bolts off in there, off these little nuts, and we'll try to pull this off lightly. It looks as though the roll pin that is supposed to be in through this tube onto this little nub that comes into the sensor, it looks like the roll pin is just stripped off, but we'll have to unbolt this very carefully and see if we can't get this off of there. If it's broke, it's broke. If not, maybe we can just replace an O-ring, or a O-ring, a roll pin, but it looks real small. So alright, so I have the one little tiny bolt removed. Probably should kick the straw out of the way. Well, this one to just fall right off, so we're not hooked up here at all. So it appears that this is just ripped. What have we got going on here? Well, it is come out of it. So there's a roll pin. Alright, what do we got going on here? There is a roll pin in there, but that is not stripped off. This guy sets into there, and it's got just a little bit of a fork to it, and that goes on the boy, this seems like it's set up, but I don't really want to move it too much because I don't know if it can be off 180 or not, and I don't know if it'll calibrate that way. So I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and lift the combine head up, put the safety on it. Maybe this bracket is just bent a little bit and it caused it to come out. I kind of assumed when it wasn't working the other night, I thought with this being cracked, I thought it was throwing the calibration off just enough on it that it was making it fluctuate too much. But this is obviously unhooked. So let's, yeah. Alright, so we have our head pinned up in the air, and what I want to see, I just want to see if it doesn't look like this rod has moved at all. Well, this is bent right here, so I think we could probably pound that one that way, or maybe get a big crescent wrench on there and push that way. Are any of the other holders like that? That one's centered. Yeah, I think I just need to straighten a few of these guides here is all. This one's bent a little bit. Get a pair of vice grips on there, twist that a little bit, and I think we'll be in good shape. But we do need to get that rod to go to the right a little bit, but judging by where these little feet come against the, looks like that's hitting right in the spot it needs to be hitting in. Oh, well, somebody's been doing some bulldozing, I guess. All right, let's do some straightening. All right, I believe we are in pretty good shape now. It allowed this to move this way a little bit. And I think, actually it does look like this came right to that edge right there. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get our little sensor to hook up here and be right where it needs to be. Well, we've got this hooked back up. It is, well, I shouldn't say it's where it needs to be, because it could possibly be off 180 degrees. It still might be broken just because of it coming away and that mechanism being able to maybe crank it backwards the wrong way. So we'll go ahead and try to calibrate this. I'm gonna grab that bolt before I lose it. This bolt holds this cover on here to keep the keep from breaking this off. So let's go ahead and pull our safety, and we'll try to calibrate this. Alright. Okay, here we are. Let's see if I can remember how to do this here. Diagnostics. We're going to go to calibrations. Oh, where are we here? Cal. Oh, what do we do? Hit enter. We don't want to do the concave. We want to do the header. So, down. I think I've got to decrease my pressure down below 1,000. Put the header on the ground. I might have to refer to the book. Now what do? Do I hit Cal? Okay, that worked. Before, when I was trying to calibrate, doing the down calibration, it came up with that error 91, which that could mean a wire broken or a switch broken. The sensor rather. Header up. Do I hit enter or do I hit Cal? We're gonna try enter. No, Cal. Okay, that was the right one, the right button to hit. Header. EOC, end of calibration. So we'll go to here, back out of this, abort. I think we're good. Now you're not going to get the header to run and float unless you have the header on. So we'll go ahead and set the header down. We need to switch here. I gotta be either one or the other here. There, now it's on pressure, and then we're only at 1,000, so let's increase our pressure. We'll get upwards of 1,800 or so. Now we go across the ground. It should raise and lower. Yep, that's raising and lowering. So, all right, that should do it. We'll get our bracket back on there, and we should be good to start in maybe an hour or so here. Alright, I had one of my settings screwed up on the corner post. I imagine a few of you are correcting me already now. So, now we are set at 1900 PSI. And you can see the head is kind of fluctuating a little bit, picking up and down, raising, coming up over the top of that windrow. Raising, see it raise and lower there. Raising, lowering as it's going across the windrow. So after I calibrated this, I didn't have the right setting for what head function I wanted to run, and going in and back out wasn't correct. So now it's set correctly. Number 3 puts it on pressure. Number 1 picks it up to our desired height. And number 2, we have setting on pressure as well. Now you'll ask, gee Andy, how did you combine if your header wasn't working correctly? What I was doing is I was running off a desired height. So I was maintaining, I was actually running it on 10. Only about this high off the ground, and I just had to watch things really well to make sure I didn't have any humps or anything, or rocks or what have you in the field. So now we can get our bracket back on there. I did pick up everything. I put it on the tailgate, so at least I didn't lose the bolts and hardware and whatever. So we'll go ahead and get our bracket, safety bracket back on there. I've got to do a little mending of some material there, but at least I don't have to buy a new switch. So let's get this wrapped up here. Alright, so we'll just do a little mending here. Wow, tougher than I thought. I don't know if that's out of the way enough or not. We need to make sure these bolts are tight. I thought I left them a little loose so that I could adjust that if need be. So this guy has to go up on here. I need to unplug this. This is why you shut the engine off on a piece of equipment when you're working on it, because this would screw up our calibration if I unplugged it, I think. Maybe it wouldn't. Alright, so that clips there and there. Get our bolts in there. Get them tight. Oh no. What did I do with that other bolt? Didn't I pick that up? I thought sure I picked it up. I must not have picked that up. I loosed it. What the heck? Now it's in my pocket. Had one fall in the head here. Oh, my arms ain't gonna be long enough, I don't think. Maybe I can get up in here. Alright. This is almost a two-person job. Might have to use the magnet on the camera to hold this other bolt in there. Alright, I gotta tighten the one up so that I can hold the bracket in place. Maybe that hole is just off center enough to where I can force that bolt in. Just as I thought. There we go. Now if I can ever so lightly just nut it. Oh, we're knotting it. There we go. All right. Easy peasy. All right. So that is all back together. This was stoved in just a little bit, but as you could see, this is really delicate on this side. The other side is covered up a little better because usually you have the outside of the field on your left side, but I'm a little backward sometimes, and the other day I had the outside of the field on this side, and yeah, I must have grazed some dirt piles or something. Alrighty, we'll get back to the shop. We need to bring the tractor trailer down. And Charlotte is going to run grain buggy today. Andrew and Sarah are going to be raking straw. Alex is trucking wheat. And they're going to start baling here about 1 o'clock or so. So we'll get picked up here. Well, we are just getting ready to get going here. We've got the trucks moved into the field from where they were parked in the last field. We got Alex coming in with a truck that she ended up taking a load in on earlier here. And Charlotte's gonna give her a ride back to the farm. So you ready to run this grain buggy today?
I reckon I am.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here, and that is gonna do it for this video. I did do a couple of passes here just to see what the moisture was, and we're running right in the high 15s, low 16s. So it'll only get drier as we go. I cut around this 4 times last night, and as you can see, we've got trees all the way around, and I went as long as I could, then it started to get tough. So that's gonna do it. We'll catch you at the next one. Take it easy, folks.